Logan Greenhaw, welcome to Breakdown.
Thanks so much, Matt. Super excited to be here. Love your
We're going to talk about
podcast.
all kinds of things today. Super excited to find you through the Twitter sphere. Can I still say that? X sphere.
I think
Um,
it's fine.
and
Everyone knows it as that.
we've been saying, "Can we say this?" for like the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know why. It just we're still saying that about the Twitter X space. You put something out the other day. It's like a website auditing tool that you built with Gravity Forms, a bunch of Gravity Forms add-ons, some everyone's favorite keyword, some AI stuff that did some really cool things. What I'm assuming is for lead generation for your agency. We're going to hold that for a moment, though. We're going to tease that out for a little bit later on in the episode. But for folks who don't know who you are, what is it that you do with Trail Mix Creative?
Yeah, so Tremix Creative it is a full-scale marketing and web design agency. Primarily what we do though is build custom solutions for businesses when it comes to getting their website developed and designed properly, and then from that stage taking it to the next level with cohesive branding so that everything on the interwebs actually looks and feels cohesive for the business.
So you're a one-stop shop, if you will, for all of these, like, planning, developing, designing, marketing, and probably supporting and deployment services for customers.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and so I've said yes to one too many things over the past 10 years, and so now it's become just full service. Whatever you need, I usually offer it. We tried to stay more in the lane of custom web development and custom solutions for kind of more complex builds.
Yeah. Talk to me about how the last decade of business has evolved and changed and been on that roller coaster ride. You're a recovering people pleaser. I'm a recovering agency owner. I too ran an agency for a decade. And I sometimes, it's one of those things like you get out of it and you're like, I'm never going back, to this, line of business again. But I think back to some of the great times about running especially a creative services business. There's, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but there's no rules. You can literally charge whatever you want, and as long as you can find customers to pay that to do the work that you do, as long as you're finding value, they're finding value with your work, you're putting value out for the client. It's a pretty cool business to be in. But how has it changed from you since day one to day 3,685, whatever it is when you do the math?
Yeah, man, it's been a wild ride for sure. I've been incredibly thankful to have like a really dedicated client base. That's kind of my favorite part of being an agency owner is actually the customer interactions, the client relationships. And so the thing that has stayed the same has been I've had long-term clients, and that's been a beautiful thing. With that said, everything else has basically changed. Nothing is the same. I've learned through a lot of failures about, all right, we cannot actually offer every single service. It is not worth the headache of it. And so kind of over the years, we've gone from saying yes to everything to trying to, even within the agency model that is full service, focus on like, hey, let's really make sure that your business feels cohesive to the user, whether it's online or helping them with in-person experiences as well. But especially the past year, even everything is just changing so dramatically with technology and AI. I know that you've had a lot of those conversations recently. It's an ever-evolving landscape that it's fun and chaotic to navigate.
Yeah. How has it changed for the customers' expectations of your capabilities? Have you found folks getting more educated to the fact and like in tune with the fact that they need technology in their lives or in their brands? Like, I remember when I started, which was many, 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 many years ago, people were like, "What's a website?" I actually still hear people say, "What's a website?" but maybe not at the same degree. Like, have you seen the customer set evolve over the last 10 years? Like, they understand what they need. They just need somebody to implement it.
So the primary client that I work with is the way too busy business owner that does not have time to actually learn all the ins and outs of whether it's social media or what branding is supposed to feel like or how to develop a website. They don't have the time, and they're paying an agency to take all of that over for them. But with that said, there's definitely the thing I'm running into more and more often now is the expectation that you should be able to deliver things faster and more efficiently at a lower cost, because there's this prevailing idea out there now that, well, I can just ask ChatGPT, or I can just ask Claude, or I can ask Lovable to generate this thing for me for $20 a month. And that's really hard to compete with until, they realize that it is a little bit trickier than just a simple prompt, and
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it.
There's another prevailing sentiment that, at least for the folks that I follow, who are especially like you and I, maybe agency owners, we're real technical, we're diving into this AI stuff, and we're all trying to learn that ourselves. But I hear a lot of people say things like, "Hey, this is just for that power to advance user. No regular person is going to do this thing with AI." And whether that's write a custom app or create a website, I feel that, well, I have two threads of thought. It's one, and we don't necessarily have to discuss this, but the big companies like an OpenAI or an Anthropic or a Gemini are going to push into the average user. Like, think Canva, what Canva did to Photoshop, like super technical, like you're a artist, digital artist, like you use this big behemoth of a tool, and then Canva went, hey, there's marketing people that just want to make stuff easily with graphics. Let's make something that helps them. And then they just made this massive company. I think AI is going to push into that sector for web, for apps, to be like a Canva-like experience. I mean, we already see it, of course, but I think the big ones, once they start pushing specifically to these users, we're going to see that introduction, come into play. But that's not the main question. That was just a rant for a second. The main question is,
Rant on.
where do you see it trickling in with customers today? Because again, what I was saying is, I think some of us, we talk ourselves out of it. We go, oh, this is only for the advanced people. No one's using this. But I think when you start to see signals, even small signals from customers, you go, oh, okay. If they're doing this today, a year from now, they might be doing something else. So what is the things that they're doing today that kind of gets you a little worried, or that you see as real world examples of AI in their lives?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, what I'm noticing is just the standard question of, hey, what do we do about AI? What do we do with AI for our business? Like, that's a common question now is, these websites that I've managed for like 5 years or something. Some of them I kind of proactively am like, hey, I think it might be an interesting idea if we put like a chat bot on the site that has access to all your products or whatever it might be. But often as I do that, I'm also getting these questions of, hey, are there ways that we can actually be utilizing this technology for our benefit? Which the answer is yes, we can. And it's more of like a curiosity, because at the end of the day, the reason that they're asking like me that question or the agency that question is because they know it exists. They just don't have time or the desire to do it themselves. So I can easily say that more and more folks are obviously aware of it and are making the connection of, oh, I could probably use this in my benefit. I just don't know how, or I
Yeah.
don't have the time to do it. Which I think that's a great, space to for agencies to get a foot in the door even further, is if you've got the technical know-how and can, have those consultations with businesses, they're going to want to know how to stay ahead of the game as best
Yeah.
as they can.
Yeah. Could be a new line of business for the agency as well, a new service to add. Are you seeing people send you like, hey, Logan, we whipped up 20 blog posts with ChatGPT, can you make sure this gets on the website? Or do you see them creating, graphics with Nano Banana, and you're just like, oh God, here we go, like more of this stuff. Is that stuff starting to creep in, or are people just generally interested from your clientele?
I don't get those types of requests often. Most of the most of the requests are not that direct, honestly.
It's a good thing, I think.
I yeah, I'm thankful for that. It's great. I love AI. I love how it can be utilized, but I don't like a future where it's AI generating content so that AI can then crawl the content, and then it's like this circular cyclical just content machine. That kind of scares me, is a little bit disappointing. I love the human touch to things, but um, yeah, I hope that we don't live in a world where every single blog post was just chat GPT left and right.
Yeah. I still roll my eyes. I see a lot of small businesses. I mean, I guess it's good and bad. Again, I'm sort of somewhere in the middle with all of this AI stuff. Like, I find it really useful for a lot of things. There's a lot of things I still see it just failing miserably. MCP, and it's just not really working the way that a lot of it's being painted on certainly social media, or my God, any kind of YouTube AI channel that you might follow. Um, but at the same time, like I see small businesses post chat. I can tell. I mean, and I know you can. I know people listening to this. You can tell it's just an AI image, right? They make like a flyer-like image for this event coming up. It's whatever. It's fine, right? I guess it's better than what they were doing in the past, which was Microsoft Paint and stuff like that. So I'm happy about that. But then also at the same time, I'm like, you all are making the same graphics now. Like now I don't like visually as a human who's just scrolling. I'm just bypassing, the small business event image. I've seen it a million times. I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah, it really does. I've noticed that as well on feeds. It's those flyers specifically, and yeah, if you're on social media for long enough, you kind of start training your eye to just like glaze right on past it, and it doesn't actually catch your attention anymore. And I'd wager that a lot of humans are cultivating that eye for, oh, that's definitely not made by a human, and I don't know, it might end up backfiring for the businesses that are trying to use the image for their
Yeah.
flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the breadth of services that you offer up to customers at Trail Mix Creative. I was looking through your Twitter feed a moment ago, and I saw something with Shopify. Obviously, you're doing things with WordPress. That's why you're here. Again, we're going to talk about this lead gen system that you made for your company with Gravity Forms and WordPress. But what do you offer? And more specifically, like, tell us the experience that you have with Shopify. And is it as bad as we all say on the WordPress side of the fence to stay away from Shopify? Give us your take on the multiple services you offer.
Oh boy, what a fun question. Yeah, so let's see. I One of the first websites I built was a WooCommerce website, and I fell in love with WooCommerce and like built a handful of WooCommerce sites before I even knew that Shopify was a thing. This might have been like before Shopify was actually like a big name now. Um, and then I, as a WordPress lover, was kind of like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm digging my heels in. I won't convert to Shopify. I'm not going to do it. And then I made a Shopify website, and I was like, holy cow, that was really easy. And I didn't have to do so much of the technical headaches that WooCommerce might have. Um, so over the years, I've developed a couple of Shopify websites, and I honestly, it's a very pleasant experience. And for many companies, it does actually make sense, especially for the businesses that are a bit more involved in the back end of things, where things as simple as adding products or managing their customer list. Shopify really does make that, in my opinion, a lot easier than managing a WooCommerce site. There's a lot less you have to manage on a Shopify site. So for the right business, I think that Shopify is a huge win. Yeah, they've started implementing all kinds of AI features as well, where you've got lovable style prompting where you just type in what you want and it's going to generate you a nice little block widget and you can place it wherever you want. It's reusable, it's fancy. And so I do really enjoy it. I wish that I didn't enjoy it as much as I do because I was raised as a WordPress advocate and loyalist. But here I am as the agency owner, realizing I got to offer Shopify because a lot of folks in the e-commerce world are wanting to tiptoe into it, are going to drop that name of like, hey, should we do a Shopify site?
Yeah.
And for a lot of folks, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Where do you think it lands on the spectrum of I'm a brand new customer to e-commerce, I have no revenue yet. Do I do a WooCommerce store? Is that the most affordable route? And then the far end where you start doing tons of revenue, millions of dollars online, where you go, oh God, Shopify, I've hit a limit with Shopify, and now WooCommerce is that better thing to customize to do all the things? Is that where, I guess the better question is like, is that where you see WooCommerce, I guess, winning, if you could say that, bookending the experience, where Shopify is winning in the middle, where people are making enough revenue, they're willing to pay, and they're no longer like broke startups, but they're no longer like pushing, or they're not pushing the boundaries of the system where they need something custom?
Yeah. Wow. Great question again. So lots of thoughts that I might offer on that one. So I've seen it go a few different ways. Obviously, I think that dollar for dollar, you could easily set up a WooCommerce site dirt cheap, like very inexpensive. It's going to look nice, feel nice if you've got the right designer and developer. And it's a super affordable option for people, especially wanting to just start to get into e-commerce, but don't want to put up, an intro level plan at Shopify. Now, with that said, a starter plan on Shopify is relatively affordable. It's not that much.
Is it 30, sorry, is it $30 a month or something like
I
that?
believe right now it's $30 a month, and they usually. Okay. So I don't want this to turn into a Shopify.
That's fine. No, I mean I honestly, like, what people need to hear the alternatives. I'm of the mindset of like, WordPress is an amazing tool. Gravity Forms is obviously an amazing tool. The secret sauce here is like, we're not making Gravity Forms ad on all of our episodes either, so that's a good thing. Yeah. But I think we should know like how people are leveraging these other softwares, because that's what's going to make us better on this side of the fence.
Yeah, so Shopify, I believe that the starter plan is $30 a month, and they usually give you a month or two for free if it's your first sign up or whatever. And so that kind of gives you 30 days basically if you wanted to install a boilerplate theme, get some products up there, and just launch. You could, in theory, within 30 days, have a site fully geared up, ready to go. And I think I think, in my opinion, the big sale for Shopify is that like it has kind of all the bells and whistles that you might have to either buy some plugins or do some custom development on WooCommerce to actually acquire. Shopify kind of streamlines all of it into a much easier to use back-end experience. I think the kicker for Shopify is if you really want to do custom development, then you're going to have to learn how to do liquid code, or again, with AI, you're going to have to play around with it a good bit to get the same either look or function that you might more easily get in a WooCommerce setup, because you probably already know WordPress, or enough PHP, JavaScript to like make things happen that you want to have happen. Yeah, so I don't know. I can go either way. With that said, not every single e-commerce website that I build these days is a Shopify site. There are plenty where I want more control, more functionality. I've got more familiarity with the coding languages on WordPress, in the WordPress environment. It's easier to make things happen that I want to have happen in a WooCommerce setup. So
the WordPress and Gravity Forms combination might be, even though I just said that's not an ad, these shows, but the WordPress and Gravity Forms combination might be one of those things where when you get into Shopify land, yeah, you could start for $30 to $40 a month or whatever the fee is. But from the last time I tested it heavily, once you started adding on any kinds of integrations, connecting up to other apps, that's when the price starts to roll in. And you might look at, well, look what I can do for $159 with Gravity Forms. That might cost me $359 on a Shopify site. So, with all that data connection stuff, like it's that portability and that connection, I think, where WordPress begins to win if you know how to do it.
Correct. I will say, my last comment about this is I recently built a Shopify website where they're doing product stuff, but then they're also selling services where there are lots of forms involved. And I hadn't had many experiences using forms on Shopify like I have in WordPress, where so many different things are form based, Gravity Forms based, and I know my way around it. Shopify, it really limits what you can do out of the box. And we're talking about things as simple as like basic email routing, like if user submits this type of thing, it goes to this email address, which is like a relatively simple thing to accomplish with Gravity Forms. It costs a plugin and an integration on Shopify just to get like a basic feature like that done. Yeah. So if you're doing a lot of customization, the integrations and apps on Shopify could easily add up to way more than you expect.
Sure. Yeah, I believe it. Let's talk about this tool that you made, Lead Gen for agencies. So if you're a lot of folks listening to this are agencies or freelancers, you can steal the idea by going to Trail Mix Creator and checking it out on Logan's website, or sign up and just try the tool out. Logan will get hit with a bunch of leads to the site. But tell us why you came up with this tool and how you put it all together.
Yeah. So I built this tool for myself is what this boils down to. I usually with like new clients, I might have a client that comes to me and they're like, hey, we want to work on our SEO. And I don't know if they know what that means, but I want them to have an understanding of what it means. So in the past, what I would do is kind of a lightweight SEO audit. I'd run through Google PageSpeed Insights. I'd come up with like maybe a spreadsheet, or we just talked about Canva. I'll make it look nice and pretty in Canva and like try to explain every little detail to them. And I'd give them a report. And from that point, that's where I start to give my pitch of these are the things I think we ought to do if we're trying to work on SEO or increase or decrease your page speed, all the things. So rather than going through the manual process with these clients, I was like, I just want a tool where I can input the URL and it's going to output a very simple, non-technical sounding report that I would be comfortable showing a client. That's what I built, was just a tool that shows, hey, these are the main pieces of data that you'd want for a simple website audit, but it is in plain English terms without all of the technical language that usually scares clients. So that's kind of the tool in a nutshell. It's got some bells and whistles with AI and different API calls, but I built it for myself so that I could more easily streamline something. And then I wanted to, turn it into a lead generation tool, which is kind of what it now exists as, on top of me being able to use it for my own personal sales pitches.
And you're using one of the more recent add-ons from Gravity Wiz, which is, I believe that's what you said, API Alchemist, correct?
Yes, I love Gravity Wiz to death. API Alchemist has made integrating with APIs so much easier. I've done API work with Gravity Forms in the past, and this makes it a lot simpler, especially for folks that are not into or have not used APIs. They really make the whole process real seamless and simple for you.
And I did a video, I'll try to link it up in the show notes. I did a video on the Gravity Forms YouTube channel doing an overview of API Alchemist when it came out, because like yourself, I was like, oh, this tool is amazing. Just from the sheer like time saving perspective and like scalability, like you're not going to want to write custom code for every single like customer or every time you need something for gravity forms, and when you can kind of build that all into the well thought out UI that they built, it's a really great thing. So you take that and you send. Do you do a like sending data from gravity forms and then back to gravity forms? Are you using it only in a one-way direction? How did you use it to orchestrate some of this data?
Yeah, so there's kind of a couple communication hurdles that it goes through. So when a user submits their URL, what happens is it does go ahead and submit the gravity form, and then it's sending off two different API calls at the same time. One of them is to page speed insights, and then the other one is to IP info. I have those set up using Cloudflare workers actually. So I didn't mention this in the pre-call interview here, but I set up a Cloudflare worker where it can run both of those API calls simultaneously. So it's a little bit faster. And then with a callback in Gravity Forms, I have those Cloudflare workers post back all of the information that the API delivers into the form submission itself. And then as soon as the form receives the response back, then it generates and shows the report to the customer on the front end.
Yeah. Love Cloudflare.
Oh
I've
my
been,
goodness.
I've been using Cloudflare workers and pages for a while, but over the last like 3 to 4 months, like really starting to learn a lot more about its capabilities, and super flexible when you can build, especially like building solutions like this.
Yeah, I love it to death. It makes running kind of more complex tasks. It's super nice. It's super fast. It's relatively affordable, for simple tools like this. It's been a really helpful solution for tools like this that I'll build out.
So I'll put you on the hot seat for a second. I see on the website audit tool, which you can find again at trailmixcreative.com, go under the services tab and you can find the website auditing tool. You have a little checkbox that says, email me this report. I'm assuming the customer gets the report that you've created for them. Does that go out with Gravity SMTP, or are you sending SMTP through something else?
So I use Mailgun as my SMPT provider there. So yeah, I didn't mention this either, but one of the things I wanted to do was to be able to save these reports so that users could come back to them, and then also sneakily grab a user's email address if they were willing or wanting to submit it. And so the form also has like a hidden tokenization field in there that is stored with the entry ID of the form. And so what ends up happening is when the form is submitted and it's stored, there's a custom token that's attached to that specific ID. And then the link that is sent to the user is a URL with all those parameters inside of it with the custom token and the entry ID attached, so that if they come back to it later, it's going to pull up the exact report that they got the first time. And so that is being sent out through Mailgun, which I use Gravity Forms integration with Mailgun to make that happen.
That's awesome. How about on the back end for your own purposes of following up with these types of customers, building a dashboard? You doing anything fun that's either in WordPress, or build your own custom dashboard to kind of evaluate this stuff?
Yeah, so right now, no, I don't have like any fun solution for it. Right now, it's just I get the email that says, "Hey, you've got a new form entry here," and then really from that, I'll put it into my own CRM that I've got set up, but it's not like integrated at this stage with this actual tool or anything like that. So I don't have a fun answer for you on this one, Matt.
That's fine. I mean, maybe you start to go into it more. I mean, I could see, I've been fascinated, and I know I'm not the only one, but of course through the advancements of AI, and of course tooling like Cloudflare getting better, like I've been really interested in exploring these types of like single page apps and what can be done in whatever, like micro situations or like regional situations, like for town or city or certain clientele or region of a state or something like that. I think it's interesting to see like what can be done with Cloudflare and creating valuable tools like this. Like this could be on a bill on a a billboard or a non-digital media kind of thing like we used to do in the old days. So somebody's driving down the
I don't know what
highway.
you're talking about.
Yeah. And they see a big billboard. It's like, hey, go to the website auditingtool.com. And it's just all it is a single page app to like do a cool thing. They get value, you get value. Maybe you guys connect and do business. So, either way, it's still fun stuff.
Yeah.
His name's Logan. You can find him at trailmixcreative.com, doing all kinds of fun stuff with WordPress, Shopify, Gravity Forms, and cool things like this free website audit. Logan, thanks for hanging out today. Anywhere else you want folks to go to say thanks?
You can follow me on all the social media channels as well. I'm trying to, always grow the business. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at Trailmix Creative, and then on X, or some might call it Twitter. I think it's just Trailmix Create because I got capped off on the character count there. But Trailmix Creative.
Awesome. We'll have all those links in the show notes. Thanks for listening, everybody.